right, we're just talking off the air about Mafia Providence, Shelz.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this was a big song for her.
Big tune, man.
That is for the on-air side of it. How you doing, sir?
I'm there. We give thanks.
I have to be reminding myself that today is not a Monday. You know what I mean? Feel like I'm Monday morning.
Yesterday was like a, yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah. That little Ash Wednesday felt like a lunch break.
But it come in handy though, you know.
True.
Yeah, man.
True.
I mean, how else would I be able to get the time to go in the daytime during the week to eat a big snapper and some steamed down, what do you call it? Not festival, man. The other thing. Bammy.
Bammy, okay.
Yo, brethren.
Hey, Shelz.
Yeah.
I could get accustomed to that.
Well, I'm man Richie Nation, Shelz.
Yeah.
Yo, you see the one Richie? Always I come tell you about the big snap.
Yeah, man.
Not giving no link.
Yeah, big up to the crew, man. All right. Time now for us to go to our next feature. WTF?
What the facts? All right, here we're going. A pioneering Jamaican geochemist established the Center for Environmental and Nuclear Science. Professor Emeritus, the Honorable Gerald Layler, is a pioneering Jamaican geochemist. In 1984, Dr. Layler established the Center for Environmental and Nuclear Science, now known as the International Center for Environmental and Nuclear Science, ICENS. Now, this initiative led to the acquisition of the Slowpoke, which stands for Safe, Low Power, Critical with a K, Experiment Nuclear Reactor. Now, ICENS, ICENS, has the only research nuclear reactor in the English-speaking Caribbean. ICENS works with the peaceful uses of nuclear energy system. Using the nuclear reactor, ICENS has been conducting chemical analysis for the mineral, food, environmental, and construction industries, as well as public sector agriculture and water agencies. Professor Layler is also known for introducing satellite technology to broadcast information remotely. He actually developed the University of the West Indies distant teaching experiment, which would later turn into an enterprise known as UWIDITE, the UWIDITE, in 1982. That's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting indeed. Another great Jamaican.
I've seen him.
Yeah, man.
I have seen him before.
He has been making the news for a long time.
That's a little respect.
This is just one of his very notable achievements. You know what I mean?
Respect.
Yeah. He has really done us proud.
Wow.
And we're happy to be carrying these bits of information in WTF, especially during Black History Month. And yeah.
Oh, we're still there. Yes.
Yeah, man. It's not done yet. He has been given national honors and all that kind of stuff too. I think he passed. Might have been in 2021, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah. So I remember the UWI mourns the passing of Professor Emeritus Gerald Layler, and I'm looking at an article that came out in August, I think, of 2021. So yeah, he actually was awarded the Order of Merit as well for all of the work that he has done. Yeah,
makes sense.
Deservedly so. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, Professor, and we thank you for all that you've done for this country. All right, it's 28 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. That was
WTF.
What the Fact?
Yeah, get them all.
All right, Bridge Nation. Enough things are going on in Westmoreland, especially when it comes to the party and entertainment scene. But here we are going. Westmoreland Police Chief says artists' lyrics among factors that are going to be considered before granting or denying event permits. Now, commanding officer of the Westmoreland Police Division, Senior Superintendent Wayne Josephs, says the lyrical content of artists and the character of the promoters booking them are among the key factors that determine whether event applications are approved or denied in that parish. Now, speaking at the Negril Entertainment Conference on Saturday, the SSP said that the locations of the events, their proximity to other places, considered silent zones, and parking were among the things that were considered, and that persons of questionable character or those who are under police investigation would be denied permits. He said, and I quote, "We look at the type of events. Is it a stage show? Who are the artists? Because we know some artists draw certain kind of crowd with the type of lyrics," the senior superintendent said, noting that the disc jockey and the controls and the type of rhetoric they spew was also a factor. We also look at who is the organizer. Yeah, man, promoter them now escape. Because if the organizer is of questionable character, if you're a lottery scammer, for example, if we know that you are involved in lottery scamming and you are applying for an event, we are not giving you permits for these events. This is why we have to do our investigations. That is why we ask that you apply for your permit at least 10 days before the event. We are not going to allow any event if we know you are involved in criminal activity.
Okay. That's a tough talking scene of soup. Wayne Josephs. Yeah. I remember Tommy Lee had a problem some time ago. Couldn't get any show in the island, much less in the West, where he's from. And he has said a lot of things that some people will have issues with. I mean,
Yes.
in terms of the lyrics, how do you monitor that? Maybe some artists will have to do like Buju Banton did in Grand Cayman. Where certain song was banned, and he just went on stage, and when it was time for him to perform that big song, he just did something like this. The
crowd real up same way.
The crowd that sing it.
Exactly.
The one of the crowd that sing the tune.
Exactly. I know you must sing it. Loophole. You see me?
By the way, I'm not making a suggestion. It just crossed my mind.
But this is
interesting.
Yeah,
Very interesting.
I'm wondering if other parishes going to try this, if it works.
Well, let's see. One of these days, maybe we'll talk to Senior Soup. Was it Superintendent Joseph?
Wayne Joseph,
yeah, and get some further details as to where he's going with this. I want to stick in the West, and I'm actually in Negril, still in Westmoreland, as a matter of fact. And they have a big announcement that was made recently by the Minister of Entertainment and Culture, Olivia Babsy Grange. She has now added at the north side of Negril, another venue to be opened that will accommodate large international festivals, and it's now on the government list of entertainment zones to be created across the island. The minister made the announcement during the Negril Entertainment Association's conference following the presentation of a proposal, site plan and architectural designs by NEA President Ryan Morrison. NEA, of course, the Negril Entertainment Association. Morrison had explained that the selection of the venue was done in tandem with the influential Negril Chamber of Commerce and the Negril Chamber chapter of the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, following recommendations made by Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett that the NEA pinpoint an appropriate government-owned location. Minister Grange in turn expressed that she was happy that the long-standing issue of the right property in the right location to build out an entertainment zone had finally been resolved. And as you know, we are responsible for building out entertainment zones, and that has been part of the conversation here in the grill, but our work is done for us. So what we have to do now is look at your recommendation, she said. Minister Grange also noted that the funding for the entertainment zones had been set aside by the Minister of Finance, Dr. Nigel Clark, following the presentation of a full guide of instructions from Prime Minister Andrew Holness. So that is some good news for Negril.
Okay.
Negril have a show. I mean, artists performing every night, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes they have large audiences too, and so that's a very, very good thing. They've been calling for that for years.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Shelz, I came across an article by the same NEA president, Ryan Morrison, who was actually speaking out against some of our own artists here who are charging, he says, exorbitant fees. And according to him, the live reggae scene in the grill was actually in the decline. Yeah, and this is public knowledge, so what I'm quoting is no secret. He actually said that a lot of persons, and I'm quoting him here, he said that a lot of persons think that when you come to the grill, you just shake a tree and money drop. He actually said that. He said the other day, and I'm quoting him, we were trying to do a show with the ministry, and we asked to get 3 performers.
Yeah.
He says, I asked Leela Ike.
Okay.
She said 1.5 mil.
Ta-da.
I called Mortimer. He said 950,000.
Ta-da.
I called Jesse Royal.
Okay.
He said 16,000 US. And the equivalent
Ta-da.
he quoted as 2.5 million
Ta-da.
Jamaican dollars. So he says, I'm saying to these artists when they give me these figures, You feel say you can bring in 1,000 people in the venue?
I'm pretty sure they could. I'm pretty sure they could.
They might, but they might not. Because day of the week, time of the month, all kinds of things might impact that.
Man,
So I don't know.
that's a
gamble.
gamble.
It's a gamble.
That's a gamble.
It's a gamble. But the artists have their worth, and they would have put in a lot of work, and they would have seen what numbers they can bring in. So
Yeah.
the problem sometimes though is when artists travel and do shows overseas, very often it is not likely that you're going to get the equivalent that you'd get overseas back here at home.
No.
And in the interest of allowing the entertainment industry to be sustained and to grow, sometimes you really have to consider your fees on the local soil. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Yeah, so that we can still have a good and successful, buoyant entertainment sector.
That's interesting.
All right, so it's an interesting development.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. A lot is happening in the West. We'll tap into it. 6:37. That was.
Update.
It's now time for.
The proverb of the day.
Let's get it.
Hag hide under sheep wool, but him grunt betray him.
You hear that?
Turn that one there again.
Hag hide under sheep wool, but him grunt betray him.
The grunt couldn't hide.
Yeah, the grunt.
So him hide under sheep wool. But him go. Everybody knows it.
No matter him
The
try.
bugger get identified.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one.
I like that.
And I find it funny as well. The official meaning, Shelz.
Yes, it's
Despite pretense, like the hag under the sheep will
Yeah, man, yeah.
pretend and think like my sheep.
yeah.
Eventually, a person's true character,
The grunt.
in the case of the hog, the grunt,
The grunt off of all.
it will reveal itself.
Can't hide.
Can't hide.
That's right.
It might hide for a little while, but eventually you're going to find out.
Yeah, I figure on it.
Trust me. All right. I enjoyed that
Yeah, man.
proverb this morning. I don't know about you, but that is what we do at this time. The proverb of the day.
That's right.
And I hope you like that one too. It's now time for a pet peeve. And remember that pet peeves are things that you may find annoying. People do that you may find annoying, irritating, or even sometimes upsetting. Shelz got a pet peeve this morning to share. Let's hear it.
Yeah, man, so hear that one and know. Alright, so I don't know if it's too strong to be. I don't know if it's a pet peeve, but it definitely annoys me. So I'm gonna classify it as a pet peeve. People with online businesses, Zine, especially those who try to promote through social media. When you put out the pretty images of your merch and them thing there, what go on for the price in the caption? Like, what go on? You can't just put the price in the caption. Like, why may I have to go through link list, and go to website or this? So you could have just put the price. Everything costs $5G. Say, here is the pair of sandals, $5,000. Get it now. Why have to just say that the caption? Here are some sandals. Click the link in the bio to see it. Nah, bro, just tell me the price in the caption. That's my pet peeve, Richie. People who just put them price under
Up
the
front.
Yeah, in the caption them. Like, yeah, try to hide it. Just tell me straight up. Because I personally, when I look on it, say like a nice bees, I'm saying, oh, this look good here.
Yeah.
And then we go in the caption. Let me see how much for you. Click the caption. I'm not asking the price. We're not going through no
Yeah,
website.
them just lose a customer.
But just scroll down. I'm saying, all right, move on.
Yeah. I wonder
Yeah.
what's the reason behind that, though. You know what I mean?
Mystery. They might try, direct traffic
yeah.
or whatever they want. I don't know. It's not going to work.
Talking about price, when was the last time you saw like a new car company advertising a vehicle and putting the price? They put $107,000 monthly.
Yep.
What's wrong with all these? What am I up to?
Just tell me.
Yeah, is it 7.5 million? Is it 11 million?
That's true, though.
Is it 23 million?
That's true.
Is it 4 million? You go $55,000 monthly.
Oh, that's not bad.
Because you can't determine. Suppose I'm coming with a bigger deposit, so that my payback is less.
See
It's
that?
not gonna work out to $55,000 for me. It might only be $25,000.
I don't know, Richie.
So now you have to go make some calls. And it's the same problem,
Yeah.
And then you have to go do all kind of research to come up with how much you really are going to pay for this vehicle that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
You just lose a customer.
Yeah, let's tell you straight up.
Straight up.
Please. We'd appreciate
I
that.
agree with that one. And it's also one that's a pet peeve of
Yeah,
mine.
hear it, man.
Yeah, man. And we're about to get into an interview, which I think will be quite interesting, Shelz. We're going to be talking to opposition member of parliament for St. Catherine Southern, Fitz Jackson. And he's been criticizing the government as disingenuous and hypocritical, he says, for postponing the local government elections.
Uh-oh.
He shared that there is some $80 billion in surplus revenue, which is way above the government's projections, and it only costs about $1.5 billion to hold the polls. The proposed parish of Portmore was also the center of a fierce debate in the House of Representatives on Tuesday as the government and opposition members of Parliament argued over the latest postponement of local government elections. The government used its majority in the House to push through a fourth postponement of the polls. Mr. Fitz Jackson is accusing the Holness administration of what he calls politically interfering in the process. He says we have, in fact, he says a lot more, and we're going to hear from him. But you know the protocol that we have between myself and Fitz?
Yeah.
I have to start our engagement on air by saying, good morning, my brother and friend. So here it is. Good morning, my brother and friend.
You know, I was just listening out, you were going to start without that acknowledgement.
No, I wouldn't.
Because you would deny me the honor of being able to tell Jamaica that you are my friend. Or I am your friend.
It wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen at all, Fitz. Good to have you, man. How you doing?
My brother, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
All
and
right.
Good morning to your team with you
Yes.
and to the rest of your listeners.
Greetings, Mr. Jackson. Greetings.
There are a lot of hot button issues, several of which came to a bubble to a boil, it seems. And when I looked on my screen, took away my glance for a moment and looked back on, the opposition benches were empty in Parliament because of a walkout. It could be because of the postponement of local government election, or was it issues to do with the Portmore municipality, or even the possibility of the elevation of George Wright? What caused the walkout, and what is the issues that you're having at this time?
Well, let me start with the least first. George Wright taking the seat he took. It just underscored the mockery that the Jamaica Labour Party has made of the Parliament. Given George Wright's antecedents, which all of Jamaica knows about, that caused him to be not sitting where he rightfully belongs with the Jamaica Labour Party members, they found fun in having him sit in the leader of opposition seat. But as I say, that speaks louder than anything I could say as to the mentality that permeates the Parliament from the Jamaica Labour Party side. But that said, for the main issue of the bill that came before Parliament on Tuesday, this is the fourth time that the local government elections have been postponed. Fourth. You imagine general elections that is due every 5 years being postponed by the incumbent government using whatever parliamentary advantage they have? Just think about that. And as I say that, I reflect on the huge step that Jamaica took post the virtual civil war that we had in the 1980s, or late 70s going into 80, where elections and the seeking of electoral advantage was central to much of the violence that we saw then. And both Jamaica Labour Party and the PNP at the time recognized that it could not continue, that Jamaica was on the brink of total disaster if it were to continue. And that gave rise to the Electoral Advisory Commission. And the significance of it, which is over 42, 43 years old now, and has been preserved. What did that commission do? It removed the political advantage from any incumbent government from determining the conduct of elections in Jamaica. Constituency political boundaries was removed out of the party political domain and put in an independent advisory commission that had bipartisan representation. And the result is there that all of us Jamaicans can be proud of, both PNP and JP supporters and none of the supporters. That achievement is what the government is seeking to overturn.
For the benefit of the listeners, Fitz, what I know you can't speak for the government, but what is the primary reason being put forward by the government as to why they have to postpone the polls at this time?
Well, I can speak because they told us.
Okay.
They told us. Mm-hmm. They told us in the memorandum of reasons in the bill that was tabled on Tuesday. And there were three principal reasons that they gave. One is that the economic climate and environment is so uncertain that they cannot spend $1.5 billion to hold the elections that have been due. That's one. Two, that they want to turn Portmore into the 15th parish, right? So that before they have local government election. And they said that we are not fully out of COVID, and so we need to not have an election. It's the same administration that one came to the country last year and says the crisis of COVID is behind us. And they lifted all the disaster risk management regulations. All the disaster risk management regulations were lifted, removed, because the crisis no longer exists that warrants the gathering, limiting the gathering of persons. Number two, a couple weeks ago, the Minister of Finance and the government, with their decks clapping chorus choir behind them, said the economy has done so well under their leadership that they have collected over $80 billion in excess of what they projected for the current fiscal year that ends next month. And for the next fiscal year to start 1st of April, from the estimates of expenditures presented last week in Parliament, they expect over a further $100+ billion in revenue, plus meaning over and above what they projected. So the money is not the problem by their own declaration. But speaking out of the other side of their mouth now, they say it is so bad that we can't find $1.5 billion.
Doesn't it boil down to one thing, though, Fitz? Because I did a little bit of research ahead of this interview, and I saw a headline which read, PNP in favor of postponing local government elections. That was, by the way, October 2020. Mm-hmm. So, and at the time, Mr. Paulwell from your side, he was also saying that every party tends to determine when they go to the local government polls for strategic reasons. Mm. Is it that you think the government is just being strategic and you're not buying the arguments being put forward?
No, but strategic decisions must be made in the confines of the law and what is reasonable.
Yeah.
Right? The bills, the amendment to the Constitution in 2016 required the election to be held every 4 years subsequently. The Constitution, it was not an entrenched position, provision in the Constitution. And that is the reason why the ordinary legislation with a majority, simple majority, could use to change the date. If it was entrenched, as is the case with the parliamentary election, it wouldn't happen. So yes, you can keep the election at a strategic point within the limits or the boundaries of the law and what is reasonable. The last local government election was in 2016. 6 years longer than a parliamentary term. But yes, going over the limit for local government election has been done by the PNP administration in the past too. So it's not that we are saying that we are holier than thou, right, in its entirety. But we both agree that this must come to an end in 2016. We both agreed that while both sides have done it before, it is not in the best interest of local government. It's not in the best interest of local government representation for that to continue. Let's discontinue it. And they breached that undertaking that was reflected in the constitutional amendment.
Now, Mr. Jackson, about how will this postponement affect the Jamaican people? And why is it important, for the local government elections to be held?
Very good question. There are about 16 divisions of the 227 across the country that have no councillor now, either through death, resignation, or migration. And a fourth reason, there are about 3 or 4 councillors who ran in the last general election that are now members of parliament and basically leave the seats vacant. Right? So those divisions are absolutely without any parish council representative. Secondly, many of the sitting councillors have indicated from after the last election they had that that would be their last term. And so they want to go. So they have not resigned. They have sort of just hanging on to help remain there on behalf of the people. But they want to go. And they're just holding on in anticipation of an election that has now been postponed for the fourth time. So the level of representation, right, is undermined. And the quality of even those who want to remain. The people, that's what democracy is all about.
It brings into question
your representative, given the opportunity to change your elected representatives if you are not pleased with the service that they are providing.
Yeah, it brings into question the issue of fixed election dates. Where do you stand on that issue?
Well, as a concept generally, I must say personally, I am not. I was once for fixed, but it's a position that I'm reconsidering for other reasons, right? So personally speaking, I'm not speaking on behalf of the People's National Party, no, right, on that subject. But I had an initial inclination for it, but if it should proceed, there were certain conditionalities I think we should attach to it, which I'm trying to clarify in my own mind, and I believe greater consultation will allow me to firm up my own position on the fixed date.
As it is,
I am proceeding on the basis as one obtains.
Yes.
What I would like is one thing. What the law requires is another thing. And all of us must be obedient to that.
So it is quite likely now then that we might just move next to a general election and not have a local government poll before?
All of that is possible. But if the government was honest in its pronouncement, we could have known that. But that honesty, as you see, is lacking. Not by my opinion, but by the pronouncements of the government. I believe that Minister Mackenzie found himself in an awkward position on Tuesday to say what he said. And as one of my colleagues said, I told Minister Mackenzie, I believe he had great pain in uttering what he said on Tuesday because the truth and the facts does not support what he was uttering. Otherwise, we can say categorically that the government, the Minister of Finance, has been dishonest and disingenuous to the people of Jamaica in respect of the pronouncements that he has made about the economy. The government would have been dishonest and insincere about the pronouncement it has made about COVID recovery and the state of the country in that regard. By their own pronouncement, not my own opinion or my utterance.
So Fitz, the PNP walked out. When will they walk back in and retake their seats in the House?
Well, let me explain a bit about the walkout. We believe that it was such a grave travesty to the Jamaican people that we thought it was unbecoming of us to sit in the Parliament with the government side in continuation of what they just did by voting to keep to approve the bill to postpone the election. As you will recall, we walked out when the count came in as to what the result of the divide was on the bill. But if I may, about one of the reasons that they gave for the postponement, which is the 15th parish of Portmore, I have said, the People's National Party have said, if the people of Portmore declare that this is what they want, we're in full support. What the government is seeking to do is to reverse, to turn back, to terminate something that the people of Portmore have advocated for and successfully achieved in 2003, which happens to be the period when the People's National Party was in power. I've said publicly and I'm repeating it now. The Portmore municipality was never the creation of the People's National Party. It was the creation of the people of Portmore through their agitation. What the People's National Party did at the time, listened to the people, facilitated their express will, and that's what brought the municipality about. If it is to be modified in any way, the people should be consulted in a similar way that they were consulted and spoke on the subject. We will not allow any less than that. And I'm going to make the statement, because we have discussed it and decided in the chambers of the People's National Party. if this Jamaica Labour Party government proceed to impose a parish and cut off Portmore from St. Catherine, as they are proposing to do, without comprehensive and fulsome consultation with the people, the next People's National Party government will reverse it and revert to what it was until the people say otherwise. We believe the voice of the people must be paramount in any and all governmental decisions that are made. Jamaica does not belong to the People's National Party or the Jamaica Labour Party. Jamaica belongs to the people of Jamaica. And it's the people of Jamaica. Their voice must be central in any significant legislative changes that can impact their lives in any shape or form. They must be center of it. And the People's National Party is giving that undertaking. I can say so categorically because it has been a decision of the People's National Party.
All right.
That we will revert to that which the people sought and obtained, and we will make changes only as they advise us.
We didn't set out to try to get the soundbite of the week, but I think you just gave us one. Thank you very much, Fitz Jackson. Have a great day. Great talking with you.
My pleasure.
All the best. All right. Okay, there you have it. Okay, it's time for us now to go to England, and the UK is calling. Good morning, Robo Ranks. Good afternoon. Really?
Good morning. Apologies for the late start, team. The pancakes wouldn't quite come out of the pan. I don't know. I think I didn't use enough the oil. I used the wrong oil.
I thought I was saying to Shelz, maybe you're out getting vegetables because we understand that there's a shortage of some of these supplies in supermarkets. So I was saying, give him a little time. He's getting some cabbage.
I know you're a person who's all over the news. Yeah, the supermarket shortage, but apparently the supermarket market shortage is the supermarkets themselves putting foods on ration. So there's lots of vegetables that currently are very seasonable now. What the consumers go for, and that's the ones they're putting on ration. So no tomatoes.
So it's not a real shortage per se.
Well, there's been some weather issue happening in Spain where a lot of the food in the UK, because UK all they know is to drink tea and grow potatoes, spuds and tea. So there's been a food weather problem in growing, and to be fair, a lot of food's grown indoors, like in Holland and outdoor in Spain. But it's to do with Brexit, my brother. Because this food shortage wouldn't happen if for instance there's a shortage of food, Europeans will get them first. The cast-offs come to the UK after. You're not the biggest market. The biggest market is 38 countries, not the UK. So right now UK is, as you would say in Richie B's voice, you get what you want and you want what you get. They're getting it, which means that we have no vegetables, my bro. How'd you say, Richie? You get what you want.
What you want is what you get, and what you get is more than you bargained for.
Exactly. See, we must make a jingle and send that to the Prime Minister, Richie Sunak. Get what you bargained for, and that's what. Right. And really, that's the problem. But what it is, and the truth is, Richie, where people are wrong. And they don't really want to admit they're wrong, so they blame everything else. And the elephant there is in the room. Mm-hmm. So now we're having food shortages.
My God. Anyhow, I hope you get past that very soon, because we know you believe in healthy eating, and your vegetables is a very important part of your menu item choice.
For me, yes.
Yes, me too. My vegetables and my fruits, I don't want to be without those.
And in recent times, obviously, because of the situation the whole world was in a few years ago, people retrospective look at their plate and what they do and what they consume and how they live. They're talking about Richie Stevens being a healthy brother, keeping up. Is it people look at those things and they're like, actually, life choices. I need to eat healthier. Yeah. A minister called Jacob Rees-Mogg turned around and said, well, maybe you guys should just eat good food seasonally. While he eats food, it's It's just laughable, my brother.
Oh,
it's
my
laughable.
goodness.
Even a 6-year-old child could work out what's happening here. But
Yeah.
because we're dealing with politicians who wave a certain flag or wear a certain
They're
color,
unpredictable.
they are holding on to this color by hook or by crook. And that's all that's happening. And the people that suffer are the people then that who vote them in under the banner or the color. Now you are, as you say, in the words of Richie B, say it again, Richie.
What you get is more than you bargained for.
What you get, and what you get is more than you bargained for.
Thank you very much.
But I hope that, if I might, out of your bad, something good could happen, because they could turn to Jamaica and get some supplies, and that would help our economy here. So I hope that that will be considered.
It should do, but you know, with we're none of us here are from the farming community, like we're presenters, but you know that traveling with fruits and veg from the Caribbean to Jamaica, there's miles of air and gas and expense, and you know, it's just gonna be crazy. So
man,
you gotta trade with your local. I mean, the best place for you to get, if the farmer across the road has pumpkin and liquor something for Richie's soup, why would you travel all the way to another part of Jamaica to get pumpkin when the guy across the road's got the pumpkin?
Yeah. You don't need to forget.
The girl across the road's got the pumpkin. Yeah. The same thing. Yeah.
Now we have a very important feature. The brothers look forward to it every week as we dissect a lot of subjects that relate to them. We call it
Man Chat.
And today,
the reasoning today is, what are some life skills every man should possess? And joining the discussion, the reasoning this morning, is our friend and clinical psychologist, Dr. Paul Smith. Is Dr. Smith with us?
Good morning.
there he is.
Morning, Dr. Smith.
Shelz. Morning, Richie B.
Good morning, Doc. How are you?
I am good. I hope you're doing well.
We're doing well. Thank you very, very much. And you're doing well, obviously. I can hear it in your voice.
Always good to be on. Always good to be on. And I'm here for all the men. All the men in the house listening.
Yes, sir.
Big up.
All right. They're going to learn a lot this morning, because I want to start by looking at what professionals like yourself term the 5 basic life skills that men should possess. Help us to understand them and why we ought to possess these life skills, please.
All right, so I have 5 on the list, almost 6, 5.5. There are so many, but I'll choose, I think, the most basic that I think will get men to live fulfilling life, you know, and to be happy and contented. And the first one I'm looking at is the ability to communicate. Are you with me?
I'm hearing you loud and clear,
Yes, so the ability to communicate, that's 1. The ability to show empathy, that's 2. The ability to manage emotion, that's 3. And I look at conflict resolution and problem solving.
Now, Dr. Smith, I'm curious. I'm hearing them those 5, right, or 5.5, as you said. And what it sounds like general life skills, though, Dr. Smith. What makes it? How can we differentiate life skills that are for men versus life skills that are for women? Because those life skills sound like they can go for both.
Yeah, they go for both, but it is important that we encourage men to develop these kind of skills, because in some regards these skills are lacking. And for men to really function the way that they want to, these skills are essential. There are times we pay so much attention on our females that we tend to believe that our men need these skills as well in order to function, to survive, you know, to look about their families, to be the breadwinners. All of these things are essential. So the focus ought to be put on men. So though all of us need to have it, but then when men do have these skills, they make a significant difference to society and to themselves and to the way they feel as men.
So what happens when they do not have those life skills, though?
When they do not have these life skills, sometimes they become dysfunctional mentally, psychologically, not to mention financially, because some of these skills can impact their financial viability, but also the fact that they're able to kind of fulfill their fullest potential as men, right? And so they'll feel as if they are worthwhile, you know, they are contributing to their families, to their upward mobility, to the society, to the community. It is important that these skills be identified and maximized as much as is possible.
Now, Dr. Smith, how can a man acquire these skills? Is it through just going through life and learning the lessons, or is there a counseling session? Like, how can men acquire these skills?
It comes in many forms, So some men learn by the way. Some men, we probably listen to even shows like this, or talks like this. There are times when even men who acquire these skills can mentor other men, and bring them to the place. So even in conversation, these things can come up. But in this formalized way, of, probably workshops or seminars or PTAs, or even in the bars. So professionals like us, we need to reach men where they are on the football field, wherever they are, to start this conversation, to say that men, for you to really maximize and be worthwhile and feel as if you are the man, you are the breadwinner, you are the protector, you are the provider, these things are essential to take you to that route.
There's another element I'd like to bring into the conversation, though, Doc, and that is we know that there are a number of single mothers out there. Some of them are listening to us right now. They're raising their sons, in some instances, by themselves. How do they navigate?
How do they navigate?
Yes.
Yes, and I'm happy you mentioned that, and wherever I get the chance to speak, I commend the single mothers, because they have been doing awesomely as it relates to our children, right? But I always say the role of a man is so important that it cannot be replaced, right? Cannot be replaced. And so while the mothers are there, they have to also contend with decision-making skills. How do I put the children forward? How do I go about providing for them without the help of a father? All of these are important, How do I manage my emotion? I might be left disappointed or crushed. How do I manage my emotions so I'm still objectively looking about the welfare of the children? I might be hurt, the mother might be hurt, but yes, life goes on. How do I pick up the pieces and move along? How do I forgive? Right? So the mother has to contend with all of these as well. Some relationships are fractured, so the issue of conflict resolution becomes also important as well. So the mothers too have to use these skills to get by, to cope with the challenges, so it applies to them as well. Okay.
I once read that life skills make us competent to know how to make our life easy and simple, how to create a positive life, and how life can be spent in the right way. Yes. The article also continued, therefore, life skills are very important. They polish the ability to adapt to all kinds of circumstances and succeed in every aspect of society. You would agree with all of that, wouldn't you?
1,000%, yes.
Yes.
1,000%.
That's interesting. No, Dr. Smith, I have to ask this because, we know this is man chat, but, we have young men listening, especially in the high school system. I went to, I guess we can argue the best all boys institution, but we'll argue that at a later time.
All right.
But, one thing I've realized, it's like a different ball game in an all boys institution, when it comes to young men developing life skills. Sometimes I'm saying, they should learn it from home. Sometimes I'm saying you should look at it through your peers, or even, should have classes, guidance, counseling and stuff. How difficult is it for a high schooler, a young man, to develop these life skills? Is it any more difficult with peer pressure and so on?
Peer pressure is a factor. And we look also at the age of development for some of these boys, especially when they go through the age of puberty and they're trying to find themselves and they ask the question, who am I? There are times when parents in particular might have to take a back seat at this stage, because whatever their peers say to them, that goes, right? And so it is important that the school plays a role, through guidance classes, through rap sessions, on Boys' Day. They get mentors to come and speak to these guys as to how important it is that as they develop from adolescence into adulthood, certain things are important in allowing them to have the soft skills that they need, the survival skills that they need, the decision skills that they need, the communication skills that they need, especially when they enter into relationships. It's important they know how to communicate, how to express their feelings, how to respect the feelings of others and the differences of others, right? How to raise children and to listen to their children and raise emotionally intelligent children. All of these skills will prepare them for manhood. But it's important that at this stage, all the interventions necessary are really brought forth.
If you just joined us, we're looking at the topic, what are some life skills that every man should possess? Doc, especially for the young men out there, how important is encouragement in terms of developing these positive and personal behaviors? Is it an important aspect of their development?
It's extremely important, and the conversation needs to start. It needs to be reinforced. It needs to be emphasized. It needs to be ongoing. It needs to be broken down so that they can understand the concept and buy into it, right? Sharing practical experiences becomes important. Sharing one's life experiences, right, also becomes important. But it is a conversation. It is a dialogue, right? Not just talking to them, but talking with them. Getting their perspective as well, respecting their perspective, but allowing them to see that, boy, if you're going to help somebody, you need to accept them where they are, right, in order to take them where they ought to be. So it's a dialogue, right? It's a dialogue that needs to take place with our young men.
We're always amazed at how much you share with us, and in a language that we can all understand and appreciate. We thank you once again.
No, sir, before you leave,
you have one
Dr.
more for him?
Smith. Yeah, because, me want to look a rebel, so I have to ask a question. Who defines life skills, though, Dr. Smith? Because the reason I ask this is, because one aspect of learning these skills or acquiring these skills is an aspect of telling young men to adapt to what society is telling them to adapt to. You can't have a young man out there. It's like, hey, what you call life skills are not necessarily life skills for me. How do you bridge that gap?
Sometimes it's a matter of semantics, Shelz, because I might call a particular life skill a particular name, and somebody might say that's not it. But in principle, that's exactly what they're doing. So certain skills are universal, right? Are universal and transcend or translate themselves into different aspects. Some might call communication skills a particular name, and somebody call it another name, but the principles are just there. The same, that we need to communicate, we need to understand and be understood, right? All of these things are important, and communication is something that runs across, the human race. So that effective communication will allow us, right, to live more fulfilling lives as well, and to understand each other, to get along better with each other, and to resolve conflicts and differences.
Understood.
Fully dissected. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Doc. Great having you as always, and you have a wonderful day today.
My absolute pleasure, and I wish you likewise.
Thank you. He's
great show.
Much appreciate Dr. Smith.
I have been rocking.
There's more to come. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care. All right. Pleasure having the clinical psychologist who is always willing to assist us here, especially during this segment, Man Chat. And I think we fully dissected the topic in the time that was allotted. What are some life skills every man should possess? Gentlemen, I hope you learned a lot from that segment. And thanks again to Dr. Paul Smith. Morning, D Major.
Man. Go on, to God be the glory, Richie B.
Great things he has done.
Great things he has done.
Man. Oh, you mean?
Every time. It's
great song you have given us in Rivers.
Yeah, man.
Another original.
Yeah. Big up to Maximum Sound and Frenchie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, out of Europe there, I send me the rhythm, man. It just feel like one of them modern feels.
Yeah.
One of them modern styles. So we'll just go with the flow, and did something inspirational for the people, because everybody's coming out of a turbulent season, COVID and thing, and people need to feel uplifted and encouraged. So let's go with it, Richie.
Same.
Yeah, man.
Let's get to this. When you hear a rhythm like that, I mean, totally different from the other one that we'll play.
Yeah.
Does it speak to you?
Yeah.
How do you decide what kind of vibe to put on a rhythm like that, for instance?
Richie, the creative process is a very It's mystical. It's hard to explain. Sometimes even I sit back and listen to a song I wrote years ago, and I'm like, wow, what kind of zone was I in? You know, it's hard to explain, but the creative process, you know, you just go with it. You just be honest to, you know, what you're hearing and feeling with it within that time frame, and you just go with it. And the song write itself, you know, most of the time. A lot of people ask me if I write off experience. I've never written a song off a definite personal, you know, experience, but we just go and the scenario start right, one line start right.
Yeah.
You know what I say?
So in the instance of Rivers, I love the song.
Give thanks.
Excellent material.
Wow, give thanks.
Was it the chorus that came to you first, or was it's the chorus?
We catch a chorus first.
Yeah,
the chorus first. Usually the chorus is what I try to hit first.
Okay.
The chorus and the melody. Melodies are very important.
Absolutely.
Richie. You know, melodies are what stay with you. Even when you don't remember the lyrics, melodies stay with you. So even as a toddler, is melody A, B, C, D, E, F.
That's
The
right.
teacher with melodies in it. You know, I say, Mary had a list. The teacher with melodies. So
simple but true.
melodies are what. When you hear somebody that mess up the lyrics, them have the melody lock.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the process, Shelz? Like been in a studio where an artist is building a song from scratch?
No.
It's a very unique and interesting process.
I just bring the food when them done.
And some liquor maybe.
Everything is necessary there.
But like, I can relate to what D Major is saying. You know, like very often they just start humming. They're just humming. No, no, no.
All right.
And before you know it, they start finding words.
Well, that's the thing.
And as he says, the song writes itself.
That's exactly how it is, Richie. You know, one word you might start humming a melody.
Yeah.
A word fall in, and you just build on that word. You have a line, and then you probably have an idea of the basic concept or the direction where you're supposed to go. You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Fantastic material.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Now, Major, just by listening, you have a reason about the music.
Yeah.
It was only a matter of time before people say, oh, yeah, produce.
Yeah.
So right now, is the producing hot new, or are you just we know? Say you're a producer.
I think it's new in terms of officially.
Yeah.
You know, like I will officially produce stuff for myself. Big up to even Future World. My first, you know, project like that was a collaboration with Future World. But we've been doing it unofficially. You know, a lot because I had a love for it. I have a group of friends that this is how we create. You know, big up to Busy Signal, big up to Romy and Verga, Christopher Martin. You know, we'll all be at the studio, and if say Busy is in studio in the vocal booth recording, everybody are throwing a line, and we are saying, no DJ, don't swing the melody that way, swing it so. You know, and there's no egos while creating and stuff. So, you know, everybody iron sharpen iron. And that's how you know we own that side of the craft. You know, so unofficially a long time I did that, man.
Respect. So you started your record label.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, man.
Well, this is within the COVID time.
Yeah.
You know, we were one thing we did surely have on our hands in that time. was time. You know what I say? So it was only right, you know. I started the label. Antilovian label. Now big up to Greeny. This is a security. If you ever got to big yard studio, it's Greeny, I'm gonna let you in. You know, Greeny always see me and say, yo, Antilovian, what go on? I never knew what it was. But upon researching, Antediluvian is the word, and it's about, you know, prehistoric, you know, people on the earth that were tall. Like 10, 15 feet. You know, you can Google it. You can Google it. I don't want to lead nobody astray, but you can Google it. But because me tall now, Greeny always see me, Antilovian. You know? And I needed a name for the label.
Yeah.
So I was sure there was no label. Called Antilovian. So me just use that, you know.
It also suggests that you have gigantic bones.
Yes. Antediluvian.
It's an adjective.
Yes, man.
Yeah, big up Siki. You inspired something great.
Yeah, man. Very much so.
Is your label? Is a lot of the music you're putting out now going to be under your label, or are you still working with other producers? Yeah. Okay.
I don't consider myself a producer first. You know what I mean? I say, Richie. And I'm going to stay honest to that. You know, I'm not going to try to do the plumber enough to try to do the tailor work. Right. You know what I say? So definitely I think I can produce to a level, but we still need that outside influence and that the real expertise in that field. You know what I'm saying? And I wonder if this is a segue to the latest single
Latest
produced by
single.
Donovan Jermaine.
Great Penthouse production.
Yeah, man.
We saw you perform it. I actually just thought, standing there backstage, watching your performance, I just thought that you selected a song that you thought would help you to connect with the audience. I didn't realize at that time, downtown Kingston at the Festival Marketplace, that it was your new single that you were actually producing. And this is a song, it's a cover.
Yeah.
I have to ask before we even played, why did you decide on that particular song from Freddie Jackson's catalog, right?
Yeah, Freddie Jackson.
Yeah.
Go on, no Richie B, man. Remember, you're a real musical pioneer. Yeah, man, Freddie Jackson originally. I have to give Donovan Jermaine the credit, though. He suggested the song. He suggested that I do it. Yeah, he sent me a John Holt version.
Okay.
You know, and he's like, yo, the musician's coming in next week. So let's lay a track for this. I think I really wanted to sing this over the image. And, you know, once Jermaine suggests something, we could go with it.
Right.
Even if it not at first, true story, at first, I was like, oh, okay. But Jermaine recommend it, you know, and he knows what he wants to hear. So,
yeah.
you know, we go along with the process and thing, and the band come in and they started laying a certain pattern. Big up to Kirk Dove on drums, Kirk Bennett.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm not sure of that. Yeah, I'm not sure that's what it is. And then Kirk said, let me try next pattern, and him try next drum pattern. And once him start that, everybody catch a fire in the studio. Yeah. You know, it was just that feel, you know, once they find that groove and that pocket, you know.
Yeah. Who are some of the musicians who were on it?
Yeah, Kirk Bennett, as I said, Bowie and keys, you know, Canon lead guitar, Welsh bass, Welsh from Notice, and the legendary Dean Fraser, you know, coloring it, you know. So it's an honor to work with some of Jamaica's finest. There's a making, you can find it on my Vivo, the image of Vivo, making of actual live, the live session and actual footage from in studio. And big up to Nikki Burt as well. She does backgrounds for vocals. A lot of people, but mostly for like Buju Banton, Nikki Burt, them. She color it up, man. Oh gosh.
Nice.
If what we saw when he delivered it downtown is anything to judge by, D Major, you have another hit on your hands.
Oh man, give thanks.
We're gonna play it right now.
Reggae rocking.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
In a reggae month.
Every time.
Nothing normal about this. Brand new from D Major. All I ever ask.